All right, welcome back to Canadian Haywire. Thanks for following us on this Jeep. Today we're going to do the rear brakes. So I got the new parts right there. I just jacked up the this side. This is the bad side, so I'll be pulling this off. Trying to get all the gear oil out of there, and then discarding the drums and the old shoes, putting the new stuff in. As you can see, it's been leaking oil for some time from there. So I'll be changing the bearing seals, the whole works. First I'll remove this brake drum, which I've already loosened once before, so it'll come off hopefully easy. So as you can tell, they left us like this for a very long time. The guy we got it from cut the rear brake lines thinking it was a brake cylinder leaking, but it's not. I mean, she was just puking out. So first step, I'm going to pull this axle out, and then I'm going to soak everything down, loosen the nut off in there, and begin the slow process of going through all this. I'm not a fan of rear brakes, but they got to be done. All right, so here's where we're at now. The axle looks surprisingly good. I'm going to have to find a new one of those puppies right there. I'm going to go get the socket for that. Alrighty, so I have this apart now. I just gotta clean this and take all this off. But before I take the shoes and the old springs out, nothing comes off until it's all clean. That's down there. I gotta find a spot to put it, and we'll get back to the short. Alright, welcome back. Today we're back to sanding the cab. Hopefully getting to shoot the inside of the cab not too far off. I just got a windshield for the truck. I gotta pick it up tomorrow over in Alberta. I'll show you what we're doing here. We're just going to continue on with the body work after I do a bit of a cleanup in this messy little place. And I'm going to wrap this shaft up and seal it. And then I'll start on that thing after I get the parts in, probably by Friday. Today is Sunday. It's a nice day out. I could probably go boating for a while. Anyways, I'll be back shortly. So I have this housing off. Like I was saying, I took a break yesterday because I wasn't feeling great. I'm going to clean all this out before I take it apart. Snap a picture so I know what goes where, when, who, and how. Hopefully the parts I bought match up. It's pretty gross, but we'll make it clean again. Alright, the worst side is it's all apart. I got a lot of cleaning to do here. It's pretty bad. I got to figure out how I'm going to get that off that shoe to put it on the other one. Doesn't look like it's going to come off. I'm going to go back to see the parts store and see if they can figure out if they got a set that has it on these ones, because you can't just simply, well, you just can't simply just throw parts on that you don't have something connected with. Okay, so I've cleaned it up, gave it a shot of paint, put the new brake cylinder on. I did the new brake line right there too. I pulled this whole thing off, wire wheeled it. It was the best way to do this. Trying to get between the leaf spring and the bolts is just, it's not fun. So we took it off. Now I have to wait for the proper parts to come in, because the place where I bought my parts, the shoes match up, except they're missing a little bar in there for the e-brake cable. Excuse me. So they also sold me the wrong wheel cylinders. They can't get the parts for a Dana 60. They can only get for Dana 44 for these Jeep trucks. I gotta see what it cross references over to and go from there. For now, so my plan is to quickly sand this down, and wherever I put the black marks, fix that up. I'll fine sand it, and then I'll hit it with guide coat. Then I gotta empty the cab of this out. If I have time today, I'll pull the column out. If not, it'll be Wednesday. But I'm going to try to quench the roof to tighten up the metal, and then I'm going to sand this, and then I'm going to hit it with an epoxy, and then I'm going to paint it the inside of the cab after the steering column's out, of course, because that's in the way. And I'm hopefully pulling the windshield out and get the dashboard off and then that'll make things much easier. Excuse me. So I'm back at the brakes today. Yes, I worked on the cab the other day, and then I went boating. So now I'm on this. I don't think the seal was a problem at all. No, maybe just a little. Anyways, we're gonna pull this apart. I'll try to get the number for that seal, pull the bearings out, see if I can get those to the local part shop ordered right away, since they can't find this truck in the system. So I have this all apart. Trying to get the seal is proving to be interesting. The parts store is going to order it for me, and that'll be in the morning. Not the easiest part to find, even though it references back to early Chevys. Anyways, I'm getting this cleaned up. The parts will be in the morning. For now, I'll focus on finishing these brakes over here and starting on that side. So I'm taking the second side apart just for a reference, but as you can watch, all the dirt falling out of here. Oh, that sounds really good. All right, so I'm gonna take this one off. I'm gonna find the screws that are in here and loosen them off. Oh, there's one right there. All right, so I got the brakes on. Unfortunately, I didn't film putting it together because it created a whole new vocabulary that was not suitable for YouTube. Yeah, these springs are tough. I don't care what anybody says. They're just awful. So I'm gonna tighten that nut up, put the lock thinger in there and the other nut against it. And then I'll clean up the brake drum and shove that on. I've already fit it. Fortunately had to use the new slack adjuster. I'm gonna still try to save the original one and get it freed up. That's the problem when things sit for a long time. And then I've got to, I can't get this gasket here at my local store, so I will have to source one out or fix it and silicone it. Okay, so I have this back together. You'll notice how you had to use the old springs. None of the new springs actually would reach. They're smaller. Not the same spring at all, so I had to reuse what I had. I'm going to try the brake drum on, and the new brake drums are not going to fit. As you can see, they stop there. They're not quite the same diameter as the holes. Really sucks. I'm gonna have to clean the old one and take it down to the parts store so they can eyeball match this crap. So as you can see, the original, now that I've cleaned it, fits perfectly. Unfortunately, I'm not planning to reuse it if I can avoid it. I'm just gonna load them in the truck and take them down to the part shop. You can see by looking at these two, there's a massive difference between these two drums. It's a little frustrating. But I'm going to clean up this original one, and I think I'm going to see if I can get it turned, like I was saying, until I can get the actual parts. So I couldn't make the old one fit, or the new ones fit, so I cleaned the old one, I shoved it on for now. This truck's not moving until I get the new brake drums anyways, and I have to put the truck back together before it's ever going to be mobile again. So that means, you know, putting the cab and stuff back together. I'm going to go start on the other side. The set screws are like seized in there. That's going to be best kind. So I'm soaking the set screws for tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to try pounding the hell out of them. I just tried it with my impact screwdriver. That did nothing. So I tried heat. That did nothing. I'm going to try some other stuff tomorrow. First of all, let it sit with some good lubricant in there. Alright, so I got the passenger set apart. You know, it's not nearly as bad as the other side by even 5%. I mean, it still has shoes left on the things there. I'm going to pop this side apart. And then I got to get this housing here off so I can paint it and get that old cylinder off there and replace that today, and hook the brake line to that son of a gun. and put the new shoes on. That should be a lot easier than the other side. I'll be right back. All right, the next step is I'm going to take this whole plate off. I know I could just unbolt this thing here and put the new one on. I'm not very good at that. I would just rather take the whole thing apart, clean it, paint it, put it back on. All right, so the passenger side brake shoes are on, springs are in. If you look over here, I routed the brake line under. Initially it was up over top. That's not a good spot for it to be. You don't want it rubbing on anything. So I routed it that way. Next day's off, I'll finish connecting them up over here. For the time being, I'm going to put the drum back on until the new drums arrive. And then I've got to drill the hole out for the two screws out of the other hub there, because they are seized in. So I took an emery cloth wheel, cleaned up the inside. It wasn't grooved, thankfully. It's just full of rust. Give it a quick splash of paint just to keep the rust off it. When the new drums come in, I'll be changing that and the bearings and seals on this side and put the new drum on the other side. I'm going to watch when you order your hardware. Sometimes the springs that come are not the right springs, or they're too small. They'll send you one for a 1/2 ton. I want it specific to the 3/4 ton. I'm not into overstretching things, so I reused a lot of the old hardware for now. I'm just going to put the axle back in, put the wheel on, and then that'll do it for this one. I'll just put the axle back in right now. So I tighten the top one and the bottom one first. And I'll come over to this one. I'll come down to here. I'll come over to this one. And I'll do the two side ones. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. I saved the old metal piece. Put it back on. Now it's just a matter of putting the big old tire on.